Good morning, everybody. Burton Newcomb, the realtor here. Let me tell you something. So, I don't know if you've been watching my channel for a while or not, but I'll just be real up front. I love rental properties. They are my favorite thing about real estate. Actually, that is the main reason I got into real estate, right? I love rental properties. I love cash flow of all kinds, right? And so that's what I wanted to make this video about today. You know, everybody's got a different way they make cash flow, right? You know, some people start a business and your business works for you. You know, some people start multiple businesses. Some people invest in the stock market. Some people invest in other entrepreneurs starting a business to create their cash flow. Some people do real estate. Some people do a multitude of all those things or some of those things, but not others, right? You know, and I do a few of those things myself, right? I would kind of fall kind of in the middle of doing a little bit of all that, right? But, you know, I love real estate cash flow. You know, the cash flow off rental properties is really something to me that has helped me build into all my other businesses, right? You know, because we can take the money that we used off of this property to invest over here into another property or into another idea of a business or vice versa, right? And so that's what I wanted to make this video about today. You know, cash flow is really, really, really key to building, generational wealth, right? Or money for the future, because you never know what's going to happen. You can get sick. You know, somebody in your family can get sick, or and I would hate to hear anybody getting sick, right? But bad things happen. You know, you can get in a car wreck, you got to go buy a new car. You can lose your job. You know, your mortgage, you still got to pay your mortgage, your power. You know, you still got to eat, you got to feed your family. You know, you may have to pay for your child's schooling, or, there's really a whole multitude of things, you know, you have to have money for. So, you know, it's really very important to me to tell you, you know, in my opinion, you know, it is good to have multiple streams of income other than just your job, right? You know, and real estate has really helped me get all of that, right? And I think that, you know, we have so much inflation going on right now, you know, that, you know, things are rapidly rising. Meat prices, housing prices, gas prices, utility prices, you know, a whole multitude of things are going up substantially right now, right? You know, so you have to be able to, you know, have some income, you know, growing on the side of your job probably, right? To help offset some of these expenses. You know, and what we're going to talk about today is when you're buying a rental property for your cash flow, right? If that's the option you choose to go, you know, here are some of the things, in my opinion, you need to take into account. Here are things I take into account when I buy things. Everybody needs to account for themselves. Don't take my advice. This is just 100% all purely my opinion, right? But you got to take into effect your taxes, right? Your property taxes are due every year. You got to pay your property taxes. Your insurance. Your insurance is due every year, every month, however you pay it. You got to take that into effect, right? You got to have, sometimes, you know, some properties you got to pay the utilities on. Maybe you don't have to pay utilities. I don't pay utilities on many of my properties, right? But I do have a water runoff fee that I have to pay. So that's the utility fee I got to take into effect, right? You know, we have, you know, your mortgage. You're going to always, if you don't have a mortgage, then that's really, really, really good, you know. But if you have a mortgage like myself, you need to take that expense into effect each month or each year, however you do your numbers, right? You're going to have a vacancy. You're going to have a turnover. You know, I personally hate turnover. We'll talk about that a little bit more in this video. But you're going to have a turnover fee. So anytime it turns over, you're going to have to get repairs made. You know, you're going to have to get other repairs and maintenance to do, you know, during the rental property, you know, whether it's occupied or unoccupied, right? So you got to take your maintenance fees, your vacancy fees into effect. You got to take your taxes, all those other things I just said. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. You know, your management fee. I manage my own things, but a lot of people have a manager. I don't really personally like buying things within an HOA, right? Many other investors don't. But, if you buy a place at the beach or, something like that, you're probably going to have an HOA. Nothing wrong with that, just, my personal preference. So you got to take all those fees into effect, all those together. Then you got to take your rent here. You need your expenses to be here. You need your net income to be here, right? You don't want your rent here, your expenses here, your net way down here, right? Because you want to make money. You don't want to lose money. So you need to take all these into effect. I'm sure there's some other things I'm missing out. Definitely do your own research. I love rental properties. I would love to help you get started in rental properties, give you my advice. I'm an investor myself, so I can give you my own opinion on what I've done to build my investment portfolio, right? And I would love to help you build yours, but these are all very important things to take into effect. But what my question is in this video to all you investors out there, what has been the number one thing, that has really made a big expense that you didn't personally take into effect when you originally bought the property? You thought the expense was going to be here, but it was actually here. Some people it's repairs. Personally, for myself, it's been vacancy. Now I really personally hate turnover. I never want to evict one of my tenants. As little as possible. I will work with my tenants to as much as I possibly can before having to take that step to evict them, because once a property turns over, you got to go in there and do maintenance, more and more maintenance. You got to fix it up, new floor, new paint, new carpet, whatever to get it rent ready again for the next tenant. I know a lot of people love Airbnbs and these vacation rentals. And I'm not saying that those are a bad thing. I'm just saying, personally, they're not for me. They might be for you, but they're not for me because I hate turnover. I want a tenant to stay with me for 20 or 30 years. A long-term tenant to me is something I really take into, a lot of account when I buy something, right? I'd rather lose a little bit of money on a long-term tenant than make more money on a tenant that turns over more. Just my personal opinion. But I want to know, what has been your biggest expense that you didn't take into effect when buying a rental property? Also, once again, don't take my advice. Do all your own research, come up with your own figures, and make your own opinion. You'll have a great afternoon. Let me know in the comments below. What have you learned from buying rental properties? What has your experience been? What has been your biggest expense? Would you do it again? Do you love the cash flow like I do? You'll have a great afternoon. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and give me some comments below.